Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday to you. Grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back, and let's chat a bit about the astrology, human design, and energy for the upcoming weekend. And today we're going to be doing readings for a few people who I talked to on Wednesday that didn't get an opportunity to get in. So I have charts pulled. I'm ready to do that. And in all honesty, I have to make this show a little bit shorter today. I have a lot going on. And so let's just dig right in and talk about what's up. Good morning, everybody. I can see a couple of you out there, but I can't see everybody. Good morning, Ellie. It's good to see you. And good morning, anybody else it's funny because sometimes the board is filled with, different bubbles, and all I get to see is the picture of you or whatever it is your profile is on Facebook. And sometimes I recognize you and other times I don't. And then suddenly the system kicks in and everybody shows up. So good morning, Laura. I have your chart. Good morning, Shauna. I have your chart. Good morning, Vicky. Holly, good morning to you. I have your chart as well. And good morning, Anne. Yay, I'm glad you're back. I was just thinking about you this morning. So great minds think alike. Good morning, Cindy. It looks like everybody's here this morning. The gang's all here. So let's dive in. So today we are looking at the moon in Sagittarius, joining up with, it already joined up with Jupiter yesterday, and today it joins up with Mercury in Sagittarius. And good morning, Mimi. So we have a sort of pile, if you will, of Jupiter and the moon and Mercury all sitting in Sagittarius, kind of giving us a glimpse, perhaps, of where the possibility is for growth and expansion for the upcoming year. I mean, remember, this is only day 2 of Jupiter being in the sign of Sagittarius. So if you're like me today and not feeling very optimistic, you're in good company, right? You're in good company. I don't know why today it's like, the moon and Jupiter and Mercury all should be making me feel up and positive, and I'm really not there yet. I'm holding space for that to occur, but at this moment in time, I'm feeling not so optimistic. And maybe it's because, out in the world, we're still seeing the same old, people dying when they're out having a good time by some shooter's hands, the president and his jackass things that he keeps doing. It's like we went through this election. We have a sign change with a major planet. Isn't the world going to look different right now? And I guess, you know what? That is the Pollyanna in me that likes the idea of something changes and everything changes with it. But not everybody is as quick to change, perhaps, as I am. I don't know what that's all about. So Cindy says, wow, that is how I feel. It just feels so off. That is exactly what I'm feeling. I was standing in the kitchen this morning having a conversation with my husband. And frankly, we were having a financial conversation, and my husband is super supportive of everything I do, but reality bites. And at this moment in time, I don't know how it is that we're going to make it through the rest of the year, much less me continue doing what I'm doing on into next year. And, it feels to me like I don't want to give up yet, even though I had set the end of the year as the target date for when I would have to make that key decision. And so maybe that's what started my whole thing this morning, is I haven't been able to, from this whole year, 2018, I have not been able to tap into what it is that's going to, drive me forward in my life. And, sitting here now in, early November, and, you can sort of see the handwriting on the wall, but is that the truth? And that's the question that he and I were talking about this morning. Is it the truth, or is there just something else going on? Is there a shade that's been drawn down in front of us for the time being until we can, get squared away and really look ahead with optimism? So I don't know, right? I don't know. So all I can do is be here in this moment. And that's exactly what I, was telling my husband this morning. I can only be here right now. I can't really project ahead to what will be by December 30th, or I guess December has 31 days, doesn't it? So I can't predict where December 30th is going to land me. and I don't know that I have to make a key decision right now. So I wouldn't, and I always use, sometimes I feel like it's TMI that I share too much, but I feel like sometimes if I'm going through something that you guys are also going through something, and if I can tell you the solution that I've come to, that perhaps it helps you. And the solution I've come to is that there is no solution yet, right? There is no solution. And I'm here to hold space until I see something clearer. It's like that, crystal ball right now is just really shadowy and really unclear. And in that unclarity, if you will, there isn't a path forward to make a decision. So the best that I can do is hold space. I can hold in my mind the idea of where I want to be, of what direction I want to happen. And if I keep focused on that, that feels better than me focusing on what what really is in this moment, right? Because I feel like if I keep focusing on what is, then I just get more of that. If I can focus on what I desire or what my intentions are, then that's the outer world that is going to be reflected back at me. And I freaking wish it was tomorrow that that outer world is reflected back to me in that way. But timing is also out of my hands, right? Timing is definitely not in my hands. It's not in your hands. And the more that we want to keep forcing things, the harder this path forward gets. And that's part of the message right now of Jupiter in Sagittarius is it is sitting at the gate 34 in your human design. Oh, shoot, I was going to draw up a human design chart of it just now, and I did not. But I have some charts here. This happens to be someone that we're going to be talking to today. So I'm going to hide her name and I'm going to show you really quickly where gate 34 is. Wow, this person happens to be a manifesting generator. So gate 34 sits right here on the sacral center. And the sacral, this person as a manifesting generator makes the connection all the way to the throat center, right? But gate 34 is hanging. There isn't anything up at gate 20 for us in general right now. So we're hanging at gate 34. And gate 34 sitting on the sacral then is priming us for action. But in the shadow, and this is what I think I'm feeling so exquisitely right this minute, is that the shadow at that gate wants to force things to happen, and as opposed to allowing, or as opposed to letting it just, knowing that the timing piece is really not in your hands and that all things happen in God's time or in divine time or in goddess time, whatever it is that you feel like. And so the message here then, and frankly, I was going to go deeper into this today and I just can't. I can't do it today. And that's something I really wanted to do, but maybe Monday we will take a deeper dive through the shadow of force, and the gift is strength. And the siddhi was a word that I threw out at you last week that I still haven't really squared away, and that is majesty. How does majesty fit into this? So I want to leave it that we will get there, but I'm not as optimistic today about how all of that plays out or what it looks like. So I don't want to put that on everybody today. So the void of course moon is coming, yay, to your town, and it's a whopping 20 minutes long. You got to love it when the moon moves void of course for only 20 minutes, right? And that doesn't happen until tomorrow evening, 7:36 p.m. my time to 7:55 p.m. So that's really what, 10:36 to 10:55 for you all on the East Coast. It's barely a blip on the radar. And it comes when the evening is winding down anyway. So relax, sit back, just enjoy the evening, trying not to make anything happen again, because it isn't, worth it during a void of course moon. And over the weekend, the moon then from Saturday evening on through Sunday and into Monday is in the sign of Capricorn. I think that's kind of a fitting sign for Veterans Day, in that Capricorn takes us more to duty and responsibility, and the weight that people that have gone through the military, gone through wars, been through battles, etc., the weight that they carry and the debt that we, in some respects, owe them for having served their country, served us. maintaining our freedoms, etc. So I think it's fitting for the weekend that we spend some time in remembrance, that we spend some time celebrating veterans. I in my write up for this week, I think I said something like, thank a veteran when you see them. Just thank them. Make eye contact with them. Don't ignore them. You know, be willing. The other day I walked into the grocery store, and there was a whole line of them, a whole line of these men. And I'm not sure what they were doing because they were quite busy, speaking to people that were coming up to them. Oh, I know, they were giving out American flags. And I'm sure they were raising money for something, or, veterans associations or something like that. But it was so wonderful. There they were, they're older men with the grizzled faces, and some younger men as well that were, obviously from maybe the Iraq conflicts, things like that. And it was just heartening to see them out in the community, and being there to accept whatever it is, thanks, or the small measure of comments that people make. And so if you see that, take up someone in a conversation, engage them and thank them, and don't just ignore that there are conflicts that we've been through, and these people served in a way that threatened their lives, their limbs in some cases, very, very much so in a lot of cases in the most recent conflagrations that we've been involved in. And so take some time with that for the weekend. For the most part, today is going to be all about the moon conjunct Mercury. Moon is, I didn't tell you the biggest news. I finished the Energy Almanac writing yesterday. Whoop! And maybe that's where I'm feeling a little bit like that has defined my days for so long, for the last several weeks at least, maybe the last couple of months, between doing the moons and then doing the monthly for the year ahead. And it has defined, exactly what am I going to do today? Well, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do the morning show, and then I'm going to go back to writing. And of course, readings or whatever comes in between. So now I'm sitting here today going, wow, now I can go on to other projects. And one of the projects that I have in mind is another sort of ebook about the moon. And I think I called it the Handbook of the Moon or something to that effect, where every day, the moon is making some changes. It's moving through anywhere from 2 to 3 gates in a day. And usually it takes 2 or 3 days for it to move through a sign. And I wanted to be able to tell you what to expect during that. We talk about it in terms of the signs, but what if you wanted something more? So I'm going to write a handbook of the moons and what it means when the moon is transiting through each of the 12 signs. So be looking for that. That'll be something free. You'll be able to just download that and have that for you to be able to reference. And I may even throw things in there like what happens on a day like today where the moon is conjunct Mercury. So the moon is emotional, and I get it now, right? I'm feeling all of this wash of emotions from the moon, and it is conjunct Mercury, my ruling sign. So everything that I want to say is coming out in a very emotional sort of way. If you're not picking up the emotion, I'm feeling it. And so I'm holding very tightly to not blurping a bunch of emotional stuff out there. But for a lot of us today, especially if you have Mercury in your chart in a sensitive place, you may be feeling this surge of emotions and wanting to speak to them. But words defy me, at least. My Mercury is retrograde by birth. And so sometimes I can't put words to those emotions. And if I tried, I'm going to be saying all kinds of things that I don't mean. So it's best sometimes to just be quiet, or to just skim through what you need to be saying. And today might be that kind of day. Mercury in Sagittarius and the moon in Sagittarius is in fire, right? Sagittarius is a fire sign, and sometimes it's fairly blunt. And bluntness can hurt people's feelings. And other people are feeling emotionally raw as well. So why would you want to add to that by saying things or doing things that could so possibly hurt someone's feelings? So today, resist that. Right? Resist the need to be blunt in speaking, and resist the need to express your emotions. Sometimes At least I mean, at least not without an invitation to share that kind of information, because it so easily transfers from you to someone else, right? So today also Venus is in a trine to Mars. I also spoke about this in the weekly write-up, and Venus in retrograde. She is closing out her retrograde cycle. By this time next week, she is done in retrograde. Hallelujah. She is now back into the sign that she loves to be in, which is relationship-oriented Libra. And even though she is still in retrograde, there's possibility anyway of issues popping up in your relationships. And the trine with Mars means it's often going to be relationships with the opposite sex. So if you're a man, it's an issue coming up perhaps with women in your life, and a woman, it is definitely something possibly coming up with the masculine in your life. And even within your own self, being able to work with both hemispheres, right? The masculine and the feminine energies, bringing them into balance. There's an ease and flow in a trine, which means that the energy of the feminine receptive side of you is easily flowing with the more masculine assertive side. But like I said, with this energy that just feels like it's caught up in this nebulousness where we can't really see direction yet. That maybe it's best not to take big steps. Don't get yourself into or out of a relationship maybe until there's some more clarity in the air. I don't know that happens until maybe after the weekend. So maybe just hold space for the moment and let the moon move out of the way of Mercury before you start having some depth conversations with those around you that you love. Let's take a look at some of the comments, people. Mimi says, aiming for humor with just a touch of snarky to ease the day. I hope that works for you, Mimi. Cindy, yuck, Mercury kills me. Okay, right there, we're going to have to make peace, Cindy. You're going to have to make peace with Mercury. Mercury is the ruler of your mind. You're going to need to change your mind, right? And Mercury is the ruler of your speech, how you talk to one another, how you communicate, how you write, how you, speak mostly, but communicate in all ways. So make peace with that. Good morning, Kathy Miller. She's been feeling much the same. So much happening in America is perhaps keeping us feeling unsettled. One day at a time may be all we can handle right now. At least we are in this together, looking for something to give us a smile today. If you find that, Kathy, please post it on the Living Astrology page. Maybe I need to get my Wyatt video back out and laugh along with that little baby who's just adorable. Good morning, Lynn. Thank you again so much for being with us yesterday. She says, don't forget there is a divine message to trust in spirit, trust in universal timing, trust in source. Thank you for that reminder. Trusting is a freaking difficult concept, especially on days like today where it's, right in there in our faces, trusting that there's something, a higher order purpose behind everything. Trusting that at the right timing, something will be revealed, the direction will be revealed, trusting that in the right timing, the right person comes along, timing and all of these things that we, I think that's backed up by that gate 34 of forcing things to happen or wanting to force things to happen. And, literally the sacral isn't about fear. And we know that, right? But every gate is holographically aligned with those three levels, right? The level of the shadow, i.e. fear, and then the level of the gift, and then the level of the siddhi. And so when we're looking at the level of fear here or shadow, it is our wanting to force things to happen. And, frankly, it goes a little bit back to our Darwinian theory of survival of the fittest, where we feel like if I don't take steps now, that I'm going to die on the vine, right? Or, I'm not going to be effective, or that my voice won't count, or my vote won't count, or whatever the thing is, that's going on within each one of us. So trust is huge in being able to help temper that idea of wanting to force things to happen, because that is literally the last thing that we want to do. There is no power in force. There is no power in force. So you might as well then learn that right from the beginning and learn then the next step, which is strength. And how do we work with strength? And that's something I will bring you, but not today. Mimi says we're still trying to catch our breaths. Good morning, Debbie. She says uncertainty is the new normal. Debbie just picked a postcard from Spirit, Colette Baron Reed, and the first thing it said is uncertainty is the new normal. Gotcha. I read that backwards. Sorry, Debbie. She said, I just picked a postcard from Spirit, and the first thing it said was uncertainty is the new normal. Unfortunately, I get these backwards. I should scroll to the bottom and read up, but instead I'm reading down, and that means I'm, sometimes saying it out of order. So Cindy earlier said, I can so relate to what you're talking about, Janet. I feel the same. I gave myself 3 years and I am now past the 3-year mark, but things are not where I feel they should be with the store money-wise, but Spirit keeps sending me people telling me that I'm supposed to stay and help those that need me. Isn't that a bitch? God, excuse me. It's a frustration, right? Because there are times when that is exactly what's happening. Spirit and everything around us is saying, trust, you're in the right place, you're going the right direction. But then we see in our human mind that things aren't happening the way that we believe it should happen. And therein lies the problem, right? That we have we have to be objective. And we have to be able to step back, and we have to hold on to the hope and the trust that Spirit is putting us in the right place at the right time with the right people. And it's our expectation of what it should be that is causing the problem. I know that. I know that's where I am today. I know that I had this expectation of what things should look like at November, what is today, 9th, 2019, 18. And it isn't where I am today. And that I find quite annoying and also frustrating. And now I want to do something like I know I shouldn't do, which is to force something to happen. And of course, that could just get me and you, if you're trying to do that, totally into trouble. So that's why I'm saying, let's just hold some space, give it time, and things will be revealed to us in their right and perfect timing. Lynn, I use stop, drop, and realign. There's a lot of negative noise in the ethers, and we do not need to tune in to that. Excuse me. We don't need to tune into that. We get to choose. Thank you, Lynn. Ellie says, I used to jump to conclusions when I was younger because it gave me a temporary sense of being in control. Now I am too, holding space and accepting the unknowing. Right there with you, mamas. Linda, good morning. Shauna, remember the small wins? Love it. Good morning, Suzanne. And Debbie, she said, good morning, angels. I love that. Thank you. Good morning, Vanita. And I think I said good morning to everybody else that's listening here. So Lynn also heard the song Under Pressure. So is it true that we're under pressure? Pressure to do what? I don't know. I think, yeah, what is the pressure? I maybe it's easier to say what isn't the pressure. Because I feel like everybody has pressure going on in their own, charts and in their own ways. But I know that there is optimism at hand, and it's just not maybe in this day. But I know better than to make decisions, on a day that's highly emotional, like today tends to be, right? Where the mind and the heart are sending messages back and forth that are emotional in nature, that you don't make decisions, right? You don't do it. It is not a day to make decisions that are going to affect your life for some time yet to come. So holding space. And being with one another, being able to have these kinds of conversations to validate, yeah, we're all going through something. You're not doing this alone, helps. And, keep these conversations going with one another, sharing, both your sorrows and your frustrations, but also your triumphs, your wins, and your excitement about things that are happening in the world and in your own life. So feel free to be able to share that. Hey, Michelle, good morning. Greetings from the beach. I was thinking about you this morning, Michelle, because yesterday you put on Facebook some beautiful photos of the sun setting And I was like, wow. And then I looked out this morning and went, oh, today's a whole nother day, clouds and rain rolling in. But I just checked the weather this morning and it said sun because I have an important football game to go to tomorrow. And I was worried I was going to be sitting in the rain, but we're returning to sun tomorrow. So good for you because I know you're at the beach for another few days. So carry on and have fun for all of us. All right. Now, I want to transition over to doing some readings for people. But first, a couple of announcements. One, I'm trying to find a date, and I wanted to do it next week, perhaps, or the week late after that. But then I realized the week after that's Thanksgiving. But I want to go back to, now that I have space in my schedule, to doing a free webinar on the profiles in your human design. The profiles indicate the role that you're here to play. And in your human design chart, it's the thing that you see that might say things like role model hermit, or opportunist investigator, or martyr heretic. I mean, there's some really interesting names in your profiles. So I want to be able to get back to that. That is the next thing, right? We did the centers and we did your type, strategy, and authority. So profiles is next. I will let you know what date that is. I may just have to wait until the last week of November to do that, unless I want to do it next week. And I'm certainly not prepared yet to really do that, but maybe I'll just do it off the cuff. We shall see. But the more important date for all of you is December 5th. That is a Thursday or Wednesday, excuse me. And on that day, I am going to be doing a 2019 astrological forecast. Since I'm done looking at all of those months now, I feel fairly confident that I can fill you in on the most important things to watch out for. The advantage of doing a seminar like that or a webinar like that is that as I noticed, there are lots of things that can trip us up in 2019, as there were looking at 2018. You know, if we had looked ahead, we might have been able to see those things that would trip us up this year. And there's value in being able to recognize that ahead of time, not because, you know, that you're going to change fundamentally the things that are happen. Some things are just going to happen, but you're aware. And when it does come down to choosing what action you're going to take, you have a model by which you can do that. So on December 5th at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. East Coast time, I will be doing that look ahead at 2019. It is a $25 webinar. And with that, I hope to be able to share with you a link to the Energy Almanac so that you guys can purchase that ahead of time and have that for you in hand to be able to work through the year as it comes up. And I will get all of that information out to everybody here in the very near future. So just circle that date, December 5th, and it will be through Zoom. It will be recorded. So if you can't join us live for the webinar, never fear, it'll be recorded. If you purchase it, you will still have access to the recording. I'll even probably at that point take in a couple of charts and show you examples by some, you know, of the charts that people have. We'll see. All right. So let's see do I have Holly out there? Well, no, wait, who's first up here? Who's chart? Oh, Shauna. I will do yours too, Holly. I have yours, but she just happened to be on the top of the pile. So Shauna, and I thought I saw her commenting out here. So Shauna, would you please check in with me? Yes, she is out there. So Shauna, please check in with me and let me know what it is that I can check out for you in your chart. For the rest of you, let's see. I have Holly and Shauna and Kristen Page and Laura Hammer. So I have 4 of you that I'm going to be doing readings for, but I've also pulled your human design charts and your astrology transit chart. So all I need from you is, what is it you want me to focus in on? Do you want to look at your astrology chart? Where's Jupiter going to be bringing you growth and expansion? Do you want to look at your human design chart? What would you like? Or do you want to just leave it up to me? It's up to you. Career frustration, feeling super stuck. All right, so let's look at what's going on in the career house in your chart then, Shauna. So for everybody listening, the career house, there's 2 parts of career, if you will, that shows up in an astrology chart. And actually, there's other layers of it as well. So if I'm going to just look at career, I'm going to look at the 10th house. And the 10th house is up at the top of your chart, and it is to the left of the bold line. So if you're looking at your own charts, Shauna, do you mind if I show your chart? Here, I'll hide your birth information so no one sees that part. There we go. So here is Shauna's chart. Shauna, you might recognize this. Here is her 10th house, right? You see this bold line, and above the bold line are the letters MC, right? MC means midheaven. It's actually a Latin word that I will not even try to pronounce, but it does mean midheaven. It is the noon position, right? It is the noon position in your chart. And just to the left of it over here, this is the 10th house. So when we look at the 10th house, we look at it as career and profession, but it has a deeper meaning than just that. Its deeper meaning would be that of your authority and what is it that your worldly self is engaged in. So here you could say more about this as opposed to the rising sign, which is your view, your personal viewpoint, and what you look like and what you see yourself as. The 10th house is how the world sees you. So that often means the career, because the most visible thing about you besides your looks is going to be what you do in the world, right? If you're a nurse, you're working in a hospital, people see you in scrubs perhaps, and they go, oh, she must work as a doctor's office, in a doctor or office or in a hospital. So people see you on a construction site, then obviously you're in construction. So it's what we see of you in the world. But it also shows us where it is you can find authority in your chart. And I'm not talking the kind of authority in human design, which gives you decision-making tools. I'm talking about where it is that you're going to be able to speak to the world from a power position, or from a place of knowledge, from a place of authority, from a place of authenticity. All right. The 10th house is also ruled in the natural horoscope by the planet Saturn. So you see there's also duty and responsibility and form and structure locked into that 10th house. So we have to look at the 10th house first. The second house we need to look at is the 6th house. The 6th house is the house of work, service, and health. Right here is the 6th house. So her 6th house begins in Gemini. Her 10th house begins in Libra. So we already know that her work is probably going to be something mind-oriented. Why? Because Libra and Gemini are both air signs, and air signs take in the mind, information, and the sharing of information, right? The communication of thoughts, ideas, and concepts of maybe someone who's a writer, maybe somebody who is a speaker, maybe somebody who counsels and talks with people. So we already have some clues about what it is, Shauna, that you're designed to do, or that you are prompted to do based on where your authority is. Now, the authority for you in Libra, I'm a user experience designer, but can't seem to find my authority and place in the world with my work right now. Well, the interesting thing about it for you in your chart, Shauna, is that the Black Moon Lilith is sitting in Libra. And Libra Black Moon is your shadow. And that shadow is always looking for one thing: the perfection of timing, the perfect idea. I want to check your human design chart for a second and see if you have that. And you have that perfection channel. So here's the thing about perfection. Perfection is in the moment, in whatever it is that you're doing, in whatever it is that you're experiencing. For you, perfection is what is happening in the now. And it may be relationship oriented. It may be designer oriented. It may be experiential. It may be sharing ideas. It may be building websites. I'm just guessing any number of things that it could be for you, right? Because it doesn't matter. The quick and simple thing for you, Shauna, is it doesn't matter, because the shadow of perfection is always going to cloud what you see as your authority. So you have to learn to have peace with the shadow of perfection and know that wherever you're called to be in the moment is where you're meant to be. It appears from your chart that you have a lot of things to say, and indeed you have a defined throat in your human design. And you have it defined through the archetype of the manifesting generator that says, where energy goes, my voice goes. Where my voice goes, my energy follows. There's this flow back and forth. And manifesting generators juggle. They have many things to do, not just one thing. And the more things that you have to do, the more organized you tend to become. And when you are not busy, what happens? It's like capturing lightning in a jar. And all it does is ping around and just do a lot of damage in your container, which is your body. So you're designed to be busy. And you're designed to have things to do, multiple things to do. I mean, for God's sakes, look at it. Gemini is the sign of the twins, two things. Libra is the sign of the scales, each having two sides, right? There's two things of balancing, right? And you've also got Venus in Libra, which is, she's elevated in Libra. She loves Libra. And in that, she finds beauty, she finds harmony, she finds peace. What if you were working with clients to help them find spiritual peace, whatever it is? Tell me what you do in the world right now. She says she's an open book. I love that. The other thing, while I'm waiting for you to tell me what it is that you do in the world as a job, if you will, your career path, the choice you've made so far, I want to take a look at the sixth house a bit, because the sixth house is the house where you are working. Like, this is the actual hands-on work that you do. The career house tells you the bigger picture, and the sixth house tells you more of the details. And the details in Gemini means you probably, whatever it is you're doing, you have a busy office, perhaps a lot of people you're talking to. Maybe you have two jobs, right? Maybe you have a job and an avocation. Certainly it seems like there's a duality here. And in Gemini, it's about information sharing. She says, oh my God, yes, I'm in the tech industry, in community operations. That is freaking perfect for you. As long as you have an outlet, to satisfy two things. And the two things are, one, investigating. Being able to research, to find information, to, follow, as I call it, I'm a Gemini and I love this, following threads, right? Something takes my interest and I just keep pulling and pulling and pulling until I find more information on it. So as long as you can do that. And the second thing, is that you have a third line profile, and that is about experiencing and experimenting. So here's where I think you're coming up against some issues in your life, is that everything for you in your world, in the tech world, might feel like you have to base things on successes. Success might be how you build a community, how you, I can't even imagine what it would look like for you in that particular world. But there's a certain sort of idea of what success is. But for you, success is whatever it is in the moment, and it's whatever it is you're experiencing. Your life is about trial and error. Your role, if you will, is an investigative martyr. So investigating, researching, finding information, and then next step, sharing it, teaching it even. Gemini makes good teachers, right? There's the ability to lecture, to speak, to teach, to write even, tech manuals, whatever it is that you want to do, it is meant for you to be doing. So you have to get over this idea that things aren't perfect, because they are. You're waiting for this perfect time, for this perfect position, for this perfect vocation, and you're already in it. Think about that for a minute. All right, let me see. I want to just do one thing for you, because Jupiter's in a very interesting place for you today, as is the sun. The sun for you, actually, is that true? Where's the sun? Yeah. Well, the sun over the last few days has been on top of your natal Pluto. So here's where you're feeling that pressure. Your pressure, as we talked about this morning, the pressure you're feeling is about the pressure of Pluto to be empowered, to be able to be effective, to be able to feel like you're transforming the world or transforming yourself. And of course, the sun just puts a lot of light there. So here's how you transform. This is going on in your 11th house. What are your intentions? What are your goals? What do you want to do? That's where you got to focus. All right. Shauna says, I'm a terrible speaker. But yes, I totally feel that about perfection. So listen, you don't have to be a speaker. right? You could be if you're building a tech community, you could just be in the background talking to people, texting people, writing to people, um, working as the community builder, right? You've got this building ability as well, but you've got to spend some time, some quality time, and I would do it now, like today or this weekend if you can, because Jupiter's in the last few degrees now of transiting through your 11th house. The 11th house is the house of dreams and wishes and intentions. And when the sun is through there, when Jupiter's moving through there, it becomes all about, what do I want? What do I desire? Wasn't there something about the gate of desire this month anyway? Um, yeah, Mars at the gate of desire. So being able to look at, what is it do I really want? And then what happens next is maybe not altogether comfortable for you, Shauna, but important for you, as in Jupiter next moves through this 12th house in your chart. And Jupiter in the 12th house calls up the inner master, calls up the inner wise woman, the shaman, the goddess, any number of words, right? We can think of. It is the power of empowering yourself from within. So it may be a lag time between your experience of your wisdom and the expression of it in the outer world. So there may be some opportunities for you to take up study. There may be some opportunities for you to, do some traveling. And because your sun is, there's some planets, Pallas Athena, by the way, transiting through your 9th house. One way to expand your horizons is through study, through travel, through exposure to other cultures and other things. So that's kind of where things are headed. But we also have this very grounding energy with the drumbeat of both Saturn and Pluto transiting through Capricorn in your 1st house. And so I think you're feeling like you need to rebuild yourself, and redefine yourself. And that's okay, as long as you don't keep thinking, I'll do it when the time is perfect. I'll do it when the circumstances are perfect, because everything's perfect right now. There you go. Shauna says, I want to improve the way things work for people and build more inclusive products. Go for it. Go for it. Because that's maybe perfect for you. It certainly looks that way for me. The only trip up, I think, for you is going to be that gate 18, which the gate 18 in your human design and the idea of your Black Moon Lilith in Libra, about that waiting for the perfect moment. So I want you to think of it like this. An author might write a book, or a writer might write a book, but never becomes an author, a published author, because they are always trying to rework the book. They never feel like it's the perfect time to send it to the publisher or to, get their work done and out into the world. And that is that gate of perfection working in the negative, right? It is overly editorial. It is overly proofreading. It is overly seeking and criticizing and analyzing, looking for imperfections. Instead, look for the perfection in each moment, in exactly what it is you're doing right now, and exactly how it is that you just expressed what it is you want to do in the world. Follow that. All right. Thanks, Shauna. Now let's see. Holly, are you out there? I haven't seen Holly check in, have I? Good morning, Heather. Good to see you. Heather lives in Edmonton, Canada. We have a couple of Canadians that follow us, and maybe more that I just don't know about too. Laura is also from Canada. And so Laura, since you've checked in with me right now, let's pull your chart up, because I have it here in front of me. I have both your transit and your human design. So Laura, what would you like me to look at? And then Holly and Kristen, if you're out there, I want you two ladies to be thinking about what it is you would like me to look at in your charts as well. Okay, Holly, I see you. I see you. I see you. So you be thinking about what you want me to take a look at. Laura, I need to know right now, since I've got your chart in front of me, what is it you want me to look at? What is your question surrounding? You have an interesting transit chart, Laura. So I'm going to show you Laura's chart just because I think she wouldn't mind. And I'm going to hide her birth information so nothing gets out there. But I want you to look at her chart as opposed to, remember the transit chart that I've been showing you this week where all the planets are aligned on one side of the chart and there's just this one little piece over here holding the balance, and that was the North Node. But look at Laura's chart. So in her chart, she has this wide representation, almost, I think, every house but the first house and maybe the eighth house. So 10 of 12 houses have representation with planets in it. This is what I would call a very busy chart, right? There's lots of opportunities, lots of options, lots of different directions she could go in her life. And sometimes I feel like this is a chart of someone that probably has issues trying to discover what it is she wants to do. And I don't know if that's true for you or not, because she does have some interesting definition in her human design chart. So Laura, what is it? I posted below. Oh Lord. Okay. Would you look at astrology chart? What is the North and South Node? Lack in partner. My thing just jumped. A lack in partner and finances. You can show my chart. Okay. So I'm assuming she wants me to look at the transiting nodes, which are sitting in a highly delicate place for you right now, as they are, your South Node by birth is sitting in, looks like 9 degrees. Yeah, 9 degrees of Aquarius. Is that right? It is. So you've just recently had the South Node moving across your natal South Node. And that means sort of a shake-up, a wake-up about what it is that you're here to share. So maybe a deeper look into what's in that cup, right? What are those skills and talents and experiences that I've had in this lifetime, but also other lifetimes? And how is it that I'm meant to share them? And now the nodes are shifting. They're now in Capricorn and Cancer. And that means they're shifting into what is the axis of relationship in your chart. So let me show you this again. Let me hide your name again, or your birth information. So I'm going to bring it in a bit. I don't know if this gets blurry, but I want you to look. Here's your South Node right here, right? And it's shifting this way. It's moving into Capricorn, while the North Node is sitting right here and it's moving this direction and it's shifting into Cancer. And notice these happen to be two of the houses. Oh, you've got 3 houses with nothing in it. This happens to be 2 empty houses, right? 2 empty houses. And the good thing about having empty houses is that there's not a lot of interference by planets that are, vying for your attention here. And so it does give you a clearer access to maybe something it is that you're looking for. Transiting Pluto is moving through your 7th house of partnering. So this is relationship orientation, right? This is marriage. The 7th house is about marriage. It is about, partnering, coming together, sharing resources. And that can be in business, but it can also be in personal relationships. Excuse me, I need to take a drink of water. So Pluto is transforming that 7th house. You could look at this in 2 ways. Eventually Pluto and the South Node are going to meet. It could be bringing somebody back to you from your past. It could be bringing up, they're not going to meet anytime real soon either. So don't think this is happening tomorrow, but the likelihood of some kind of relationship issue coming up soon is very close at hand, because you can't really experience the energy through this house without something there, right? You've got to have something there. The ruler of the 7th house in your chart is Capricorn, or is Saturn, because it's Capricorn. So it sounds like what you're wanting is somebody of authority, somebody that's mature, somebody, and I don't mean old, I mean mature, right? Who's taking responsibility for themselves, who is, mentally, emotionally on the same wavelength as you. And so you've got to be open up to being in those places where those kind of people are going to be, right? Where are you going to find those kind of people? Now, this can also play in the business category. So finding the right people to partner with in your business will take you to the next level, because Pluto is about empowering you to do this. Now, the North Node is showing the transit. Your North Node by birth was in Leo. So for the previous 18 months then have been focused on you getting aligned with your heart. And part of this alignment with your heart meant earning money by doing the things you love, aligning yourself with the things that you value, and there's a bit of a call there for you to become more worthy, right? Worthy. And in this case, you're going to take those values that you've learned, you're going to take that worthiness, and you're going to move it now into the nodes shift into the first and seventh house. It's now going to show up in your relationships, but also in how you carry yourself. So number one is about, what is it that you think about yourself? How do you show up in the world yourself? Because how you show up in the world is going to drive who shows up in your world. I hope all of that's making sense. So the first house in Cancer also says that from your viewpoint, a part of you wants to be nurtured, but also wants to be the nurturer. The Cancer's kind of tricky here because there's a protection sort of that, think of the crab, right? It's hard shelled. It is covering up a soft inside. And it is also an animal that doesn't move straight forward, right? It sort of sidewinds its way ahead. And so a part of you is sort of taking the side route to get where you want to go. So there's maybe a need now to face it head on, right? A little less protection of yourself, a little bit less insecurity about yourself, and a little more, I want and deserve nurturing and love. Okay. And then that becomes an attractive force to bring the right partners to you. This happens frequently in our lives when we've been hurt in a relationship. It's, a tender spot for you. This is tender, right? This is maybe having had, relationships where you weren't valued, you weren't nurtured, where there was no depth of emotion here. You want emotional connection, right? But you don't want somebody gushing their emotions all over you either, right? So you're walking a fine line here. So you need to find somebody. You will be attracted to somebody who is of an authority type of nature, who is in command of themselves, who has done their due diligence, right? Who is walking their talk. But it also requires you to walk yours, right? Walking your talk, living your life from your truth. That is going to be the attractive force that brings people to you. And just a quick look here then at, let's see, where's Jupiter transiting Sagittarius? It's like, oh, Laura, I'm almost looking at my own chart. I mean, your chart, my chart, Michelle Gay. If you're still listening, our charts are lined up very similarly. So Jupiter for you right now is at the last degrees of the fifth house. This is the house of love and romance. So now, that, and it's conjunct your moon, right? Your natal moon sits at 1 degree of Sagittarius. Well, Jupiter's at 0 point something or another, right? It's very close to it. So, heart matters are up for you. You're longing for that emotional connection. And from here, this is like the last degree of your fifth house of love and romance, and then it moves on into the sixth house. And so the focus is about to shift. Jupiter's focus shifts to the work that you do. It shifts to your health, the health of your body, and it also shifts into work, service. How do you serve? And how are you showing up in the world in the way that you're sharing what you do? But the sixth house to me is also a place where the rubber meets the road. So all of the creative ideas, all the ideas of love and romance that you've been having have to find their expression in the real world. So you got to get out into the real world, right? You can't just hide. Let me see. You're a martyr heretic. I love these names, right? Martyr heretic. For you, it's all about experiences, trial and error, bonds made and bonds broken. That's the third line profile right there. The fifth line profile in a way gets a little bit like projected upon. So people project their troubles and things like that out onto you, or blame you when something blows up on them. So that's why it is so important for you to make sure that the next people that you get involved with closely are in command of themselves, who are willing to take responsibility for who they are. They're not in that victim stance. So it's worthy for you. It's worthwhile for you to take your time in considering who it is that you are going to bond with next, right? So be judicious, be picky, right? You want someone who's going to be able to meet you at responsibility and authority, not someone who is going to project their stuff onto you, right? You've had enough of that. You don't need that anymore. So Jupiter in a good place for you for the next year. I always say she, but he will be helping to strengthen the work that you do, focus you in on the work that you do. People will be looking for you in terms of what it is that you do in the world. They'll need what you have. Laura says she's been sidewinding for 10 years. Yep. Sidewinding. It works for you. It does work for you. It does work for me too with a Cancer rising. There's times that I just have to kind of go, sort of sideways into it. But maybe it's time for you to see where that sideways trip has been stopping you from actually taking the trip. Maybe you just keep going around back and forth instead of actually making forward progress. All right, Laura, thank you for letting me share your chart. By the way, I have your son and daughter's charts I've got all of that together. All right, Holly. Janet, I will leave open to you. I am feeling very lost in life right now. I guess I'm looking for some direction. You're welcome, Laura. Thank you. Holly. So, as far as I know, like Laura, I've done a reading before for you. Shauna, I think I've done some on-air readings for you before. Holly, you're completely new for me. So I don't know what situations you're in or, what's going on in your life. So let me take a moment to really look here and see what are these key. Well, I mean, just jumped right out at me right now. Jupiter at gate 34 that we spoke about early this morning that I'm going to deal with deeper in the next couple of days is where your sun sits in your chart. So no wonder this is up for you right now, right? There's this drumbeat almost of who am I? What am I doing? What should I, what direction am I going? You are also a manifesting generator. So you are here to juggle. You are here to do many things. And sometimes you have to sort of jump in there and experience something. And then you can determine whether this is something you want to stay at or something that you want to let go of. But you'll do much better, Holly, when you have multiple things going and not just one thing. So that might mean that you have, for example, you might have passive income coming into you from some direction. Maybe a book you've written. These are just ideas. Maybe a network marketing company that you belong to and some income comes from that. While there's another job perhaps that you do in the day, and at night, maybe you do some other things. So the more that you have going, the better you feel. What happens where the lack of direction comes for manifesting generators sometimes is one of two reasons. One, they are not doing enough. I had a manifesting generator friend who basically sat on his couch all day, every day. And a manifesting generator needs action, or the energy just pings around in their body, making them sick. The other thing that manifesting generators do sometimes is they're the spaghetti throwers, right? I have this handful of pasta noodles and I throw them out there, and whatever sticks is what I'm meant to stick with. But instead, I'm trying to stick with everything that I just threw out there. So that can be a problem in your life, right? Where you're either throwing out too much and trying to do everything, or you're not throwing out enough and your body is suffering because of it. So Holly, you might want to just let me know which of those two extremes it might be for you or where you fall in that. And so the key here for you then as a manifesting generator is to always wait for something to respond to in your outer world. So many times people in the spiritual community, we believe that, we go into meditation or we go into a prayer stance and we ask for guidance, and then we get this idea or this guidance, and then we take action on it. But that action or that information that comes from spirit or comes from your intuition is not actionable for you until you have something in your outer world to respond to. I hope that makes sense, right? So maybe, you get some kind of indication that, and I'm going to use one from my own life. I got an indication one time that I was meant to write a book. And I didn't yet, but that was my inner voice, right, that I heard. And then I waited, and then I did get the confirmation from the outer world, literally, within a few hours, with somebody emailing me saying, "Hey, have you ever thought about writing a book? Well, this class is for you," kind of thing. So it is great that you get inspiration from your intuition, or from your inner voice, or from prayer or meditation, but you wait to take action on anything, especially anything big like career direction, relationship, moving, etc., until you have something in your outer world that matches that. Right? So life for you is like living in a dance with a divine made manifest. So I hope that makes sense to you. So that can be the number one source of problems, is that you're acting on all kinds of ideas that are coming up from your mind and not waiting for the ones that really show up in the outer world for you to take action on. And then the second thing for you in terms of making decisions is that you're defined emotionally. Someone with emotional definition is not designed to be spontaneous. I don't care how many people tell you that, whatever comes into your mind, you just do it. I don't care how many times Nike says, just do it. You're not that kind of person. You are not the just do it. You are the just feel it. And feelings move in waves. They have a flow to them. So what you're feeling right now in this moment is not what you're going to be feeling in the next moments, is not what you're going to be feeling possibly in the next moments after that. And so you have to sort of check in with yourself throughout your emotional wave. And yours is a high and low kind of wave. Right? A low and high kind of wave, one that might make you believe that you're bipolar, one that might make you feel that you are depressed, because you feel like sometimes there's this high rise, and then I'm in giddy. I'm so excited, I'm high, and then I start that low roll down. And when I get to the bottom, I feel really sad and depressed or melancholy, like the whole world just ripped a rug out from under me. But it isn't the truth, right? So the way your emotions move is through that high and through that low. So you cannot make decisions from any one point along that way. You have to wait until you're completely through your emotional wave. Always checking in with yourself. Does this feel good? Is this correct for me? Does this make me happy? Right? Those are the questions that you ask yourself. Not open-ended questions. Yes or no questions. And is your friend. And anything that tries to get you to move up into your mind is going to cause problems. Right? So are you understanding this? She says, yes, my feelings tend to flow all over. And I'm not doing much right now. I've gotten hurt at work and have been out for a while and need to figure out what my next direction to go. I'm going to tell you right now, get that figure out of your vocabulary. I know you have a defined ajna, but you are not designed to figure out anything from here. Not at all. Not even for a minute. Your mind is meant for you to think and seek information and play with, analyze, contrast, compare, recall data, memorize, blah, blah, blah. But it is not where you make decisions. So don't try to figure it out. Trying to figure it out is going to make you go crazy. Right? You're not going to be able to figure it out, at least not from up here. You're going to have to feel it from within your emotional self. And your emotional self then needs time. Time is your friend, right? Don't let anybody rush you into making decisions. Don't rush yourself into making decisions. And then don't beat yourself up when you are not clear yet, because clarity is what you need in order to be able to move forward. Right? And that means at least 24 hours. I would say it might even take more like 2 or 3 days before you get clarity about something. And that's only clarity about something that has shown up in your outer world. So let's say today, you said you were looking for a career, wasn't it? Or let's see, Holly says, I leave it open to you. You're looking for some direction, maybe direction about career. So let's say, you've asked the question of yourself, what would you like to be doing? Right? What work would make you happy? And now you're waiting. You've asked the question. Now your mind can kick in and start throwing you ideas, right? Maybe I want to do that. Maybe I want to go there. Maybe I want to be doing this. And those are the ideas that are running through your head, right? And that's the proper use of the head, is just allowing these ideas to come in and circulate and flow through you. But maybe there's something that, I would really love to do that. right? But you don't take action on that until the opportunity to do that shows up in your outer world. When it does, you're still waiting a little bit longer to get clarity on how it feels to you to be doing that. Because in the moment, it may feel really good, but then after a while, it may feel really not so good. Now you have this duality and you live on the left angle cross of duality. For you, life is always like that. Two of everything, like two directions, forks in the road. I could do this, but then I could do this. So for you, it's all about duality. And that's just a part of the conundrum of your chart. So the only way that you can get clear on direction is to go to your feelings. What feels good to you? And if both feel good, then do both, right? But only if you've got both things showing up in your outer world. That is going to be the saving grace for you. Okay. Taking a look here, your age. One small little thing that I want to say for you right now. Your North Node, you're a 41 now. Is that right? Did I just blow that? Are you 41-ish? So you're about to come to your Uranus opposition. Uranus for you is at 13 Scorpio. So probably sometime between late 2019 and early 2020, you're going to be in what is called your midlife crisis. Or we call it that. I like to call it the midlife redirect because it's the opportunity for you to redirect your energies. So what I think for you right now, Holly, is a process of exploration, of seeking, of looking for, of kind of taste testing, if you will, a lot of the different things that are coming up for you, right? What maybe I would like to do that. Maybe I would like to do that. And so it's a process, I think, of investigating, but I don't know that the real one thing, two things, or three things are going to come up for you for maybe a while yet, because it's really for you right now to be investigating. What is it that I would really like to do? So remember, for who was it that had energy moving through the 11th house? You've got energy moving through your 10th house right now. It is coming for you, right? That Jupiter is going to hit your sun here within the next couple of weeks. I think you're about ready to have some kind of an aha or awakening that's going to put you on a new 12-year path of growth and expansion. So the best thing for you to do is to keep considering, what do I want? What do I want? Where do I want to go? Who do I want to be? What do I want to do? And who do I want to do it with? Right? That's the question for you to be considering. And it's happening. You're in the process of it. So just don't go with what's going on up here, because it can fool you into thinking all kinds of things, right? Disaster after disaster, optimism followed by crashes. Don't go with what's up here. Go with what's down here in your body. How's it feeling? Right. And, when something shows up in the outer world, that feeling can tell you with, that is not right for me, or, that feels good to me. And if hours later, it still feels good to you, and after one sleep at the minimum, it still feels good to you, then it's likely going to be something that's good for you. But if you've been waffling back and forth on whether or not to do something, and you're waffling not from your head, but from your emotions, then it is a no for right now, because you don't have clarity. You're waiting until you have clarity. And it may be, it's not no forever, it's no for right now. And that would be because things aren't clear yet. Right? So I hope that helps. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Holly is going to be 41 this month, the 26th, right? So happy early birthday to you. But also, you're one of the group of people who have a late sort of midlife crisis. Most times we see it between 40 and 42, but you're going to be likely closer to 41, 42 before that happens. So that gives you some breathing room right now, because I've just told you that that's going to be happening and redirecting your life into new places. So right now you can do the work to consider, what is it I really want? If I were the designer, and trust me, you are, if I was designing my life, what would I be designing it as? That is your job. All right, Kristen. Thank you, by the way, Holly, for letting me share that with you. Good morning, Kristen. And I have your chart in front of me, and I don't have any idea what you would like me to talk to you about. So if you are still with us, and I hope you are, I know it's been a whole lot longer this morning than I thought I would be, but that's okay, I think. So, Kristen, check in with me and tell me what it is that you think you would like me to talk about. As I look at your chart, I hope you don't mind me sharing. I'm going to try to see if I can do this like I did earlier with Shauna's. There's a chart that's different than the last one we looked at, right? Look at all the openness in this chart. This woman is here to become wise, right? That is what she's here to do. She has two defined centers, one of them being the spleen, which is the center, of course, for time, intuition, health, and those gates double as fear gates or paralysis points. Hi, Kristen. This is your human design chart I'm showing right now. And I just need you to give me an idea what you want me to look at here. I can point out a couple of paralysis points for you, because look at here. You've got gate 48, which is the fear of not being the fear is inadequacy. I'm not good enough. I don't know enough. I need more certifications. I need more classes. I need to read another book. I need to take another class, and then I'll be ready to do things, but not so, right? Gate 44 is the fear of the past repeating itself. Gate 50 is a fear that I'm going to fail in my responsibilities to my family, my community, my tribe. And so I nurture, I overmother, I smother, but I don't take care of myself. Right here is maybe where your health issues are, right? In not nurturing yourself. And then also gate 18, which is connected to gate 58 in your chart, which says that your foundation in joy is that joy is perfect in every moment, right? In every moment, you can see easily where other people are out of alignment with joy. And in that then is this need to want to perfect. The problem is sometimes that perfection then becomes a way for you to stop yourself from getting where you want to be in your life. Or not so, yeah, you also do have the gate of opinions, where sometimes you can speak to other people about what you probably intend as constructive criticism, but that which might not always be taken in that spirit, in which case, with an open throat in your human design, you're not meant to share constructive criticism or criticism without the permission of the person or in the group that you're criticizing. So here we have this tendency to want to speak and to tell people, look, you're out of alignment, but you can only do that with an invitation. And anyway, so be sure about that. That's like the biggest advice I can give you, is to make sure you only use your voice in a way that you've been invited to share. So if you see something out of alignment, you're maybe in a group and you see, that they're out of alignment and you want to speak to that, you can only do that when they say, we need your help. How can we perfect this? How can we make this better? And then you can speak to that. Or you can question as a way to open them into inviting you in to be able to talk about that. So you said that it looked like you were saying that there was health issues going on. So Holly, Kristen? That's awesome. I love that. So Kristen says she hasn't been working. She's having health issues. So here's the deal, sweetie. You have Mars at gate 50. So hold on, I'm looking at that, gate 50. You have Mercury at gate 50. I wonder if you would be willing to share with us what your health challenges have been. My feeling is maybe you're burning yourself out. That burnout, autoimmune diseases, or just being tired makes me think of, what is that, chronic fatigue syndrome. Mars involved also makes me think of accidents, falls, car crashes, things like that, where the purpose of the accident or the purpose of the autoimmune disease or the purpose of the illness isn't to punish you. It is to cause you to evaluate, if you will, how it is that you're showing up in your life and how it is that you're showing up for everyone else around you. Because thyroid cancer, oh my goodness. Okay, so on one hand, I want to say easy fix. I know cancer's not necessarily easy, but remember, you're in charge of your DNA, right? You can work through this healing process. And I got to tell you, thyroid, throat, right here. And we see thyroid issues, metabolism issues, thyroid cancers, neck issues, larynx and upper digestive issues like, the esophageal type things that happen when people use their voice incorrectly. And you have an open throat, it is so easy for you to use your throat incorrectly. And it's a problem, right? It is a huge problem because we want to be heard. You have an open identity center. You want to be heard, loved, valued, and recognized for the contribution that you want to make to the world. You have your moon sitting at gate 8. You're driven to contribute. Right? You want to make life better for people. You want to help people. You want to be able to be seen as someone of importance. And I don't mean like you need to be the center of attention necessarily, but there's a drive within you to be a contributor. But if you've been going about that in the wrong way for over an extended period of time, then it shows up here. And let's see, so you're about to have your 50th birthday. And you're at a Chiron return or in the window of the Chiron return. So gosh, there's so many things I want to talk to you about here because number one, use the throat correctly. Learn that lesson right now, right? Learn that lesson right now. I know that you have valuable input. I know you do. I know you have these brilliant opinions and ideas that you want to share with the world and contribute maybe to the health of a group or to whatever it is that you've been doing up until the point you had cancer. But you have to do that. You have to enter into that conversation in a way that is sort of through that back door, right? You have to wait. You have to be quiet. Right now, with a throat cancer, you're probably having to be quiet. And when people want to hear what you have to say, they say, Kristen, you're being awfully quiet. We want to hear what you have to say. And they invite you in, they draw you in, right? That's what you want. You want to be drawn in to the conversation. And from that place, then you can share your insight, your ideas, your opinions, your constructive criticism. But up until that point, it's just so much words and people just shut you off. That creates anger, frustration, disappointment in you, right? Because I'm never heard. I'm never recognized. People don't see me. I'm ignored or, overlooked. When all you do is just tweak a little bit and people will see you. People will hear you. People will value you. An open identity center is tough. It's tough because you have such wisdom within you and wiseness about people that you want to be able to share. But again, with that open throat, it creates already a conundrum, right? You're bumping up against it. You bump up against the fact that you can really probably intuitively see what it is that would help someone correct their lives. But then to speak it then, undermines you and your energy. All right. Let me take a look at your transit chart real quick. If you have any questions, please feel free to say something here. Thyroid cancer and digestive. So digestive, do you have like cancer up here? What is that called? The esophagus or trachea or something like that as well? Because that was included, of course. It's all in the throat. It's all right here. Looking at your chart, you have a preponderance of planets in your 6th house of health. Jupiter, the South Node, Uranus, Pluto, your prenatal solar eclipse, which is like, what are you here to teach? And the part of fortune. And it's all happening in between Virgo and Libra. And Virgo would be the digestive system. And Libra makes me think about adrenal burnout, right? Maybe doing too much of the wrong things, perhaps. And you put yourself in a position of being weak or easily succumbing to some type of body issue. But it feels to me also, Kristen, like there's a lot of lessons that you're learning about yourself, about the world, about the people in your world from what you're experiencing right now. The really cool news, I think, is that literally with Chiron in return or just about to be in return, it's sort of like you had a return And now Chiron has gone backwards and gone back over your 29-degree Pisces natal position of Chiron. And it'll take another few months. I believe it's not until March that Chiron will move forward again and come back over the same spot. So you're having this, challenge of healing, wounding and healing right here. And it's all about the hidden victim energy. And no one likes to hear that they've been playing the victim, or alternatively, that they've been playing the martyr. This is victim martyr energy, right? You guys didn't listen to me. And so, I turned myself into a martyr. I'm, just speaking my truth. And it's too bad if you guys can't see that I'm out here to help you. So I play martyr. Or on the other end, I play victim and I blame people for my situation, or I blame the universe, or I blame my job, or, whatever it is. So the first thing that you can do for yourself is to empower yourself to not be the victim, right? Or the martyr, to take responsibility for all of this that you see within yourself, all these places where you've, allowed or disempowered yourself, right? So first of all, that's what I would be working on. I would, be showering myself every day with golden light, the golden light of healing, and I would be working it all the way into my DNA. And I would be talking to my DNA and say, thank you for the lesson you've taught me. I'm done with this. Thank you so much. And begin healing from the micro to the macro, but also from the macro down to the micro. Right? Your DNA is a transducer of light. Allow more and more light to come through that DNA. Maybe even just, get a picture of DNA. This is not a picture of DNA, but get a picture of DNA. Hold it in front of you and just be able to look, through your mind's eye at where in your DNA the light has not made it through, and work with that, as well as the physical things that you can do to support yourself through diet and pure water and that type of thing. But also emotional health. You're open emotionally, Kristen, which means that you are meant to be more like a screen door and allowing emotional energy to flow through you. But you may have become more of a sponge. And as an empaths do, they tend to absorb the energy, the emotional energy from around them. But if you're holding on to that emotional energy, it becomes negatively, it affects you negatively. Instead, just release that and allow emotion to flow through you. You are not here to broadcast emotion. You're just being informed by it. And second or last thing I want to say is that you have an open sacral. You are a projector. Your job is to be like Buddha and wait for opportunity to come to you and for it to be invited out of you, right? That's what you're waiting for. My invitation for you right now is to focus on your healing, to find meditations that support you in doing that, to, find visualizations even that help you picture health, right? And rest, revitalize. Huge things for you right now. All right. I hope all that helps you. And I say that there's, there's some real hope out there for you. And it just is a little bit of tweaking the way things have gone in your life, right? All right. I'm done. I'm done. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here with you in the mornings, to be able to do readings like this. I absolutely love to do that. In the meantime, I'm just checking to see if there's any other comments that people are making. I don't see anything else. So much love to everybody. Have a great day. Have a good weekend. I will see you back here Monday morning, and we will take up hopefully Gene Key 34. I think that's a good idea. Mm-hmm. All right. Take care. Love you all. Mwah. Bye for now.